Hey Mark, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. I found an interesting article that I sent to you regarding snow removal and what a tenant and a landlord responsibilities are.
Yeah, I saw it. It's interesting.
Well, it's interesting because I've had this brought up to me more than once from
Yep,
tenants and even my clients that are landlords
yep,
saying, where the tenant's saying, well, it's your responsibility.
yep,
Because when you Google it, which I did, and I have it here, it says the Residential Tenancy Act of Ontario outlines that landlords are statutorily required to maintain rental properties, which includes managing snow and ice to prevent unsafe conditions.
yep, yep.
So it definitely says that the landlord is responsible.
Yeah,
Now, I've always had issues with this, and I'll tell you why. I have a snowplow guy that doesn't come at 6 a.m.
right.
So if my tenant goes to work at 6 a.m. and nothing's plowed and nothing's clean and they fall and break their leg, it's my
Mhm.
fault because my snowplow guy isn't there.
Well, you have insurance for that too, but there's a way around that, right? By inputting it into the lease agreement, correct?
Well, Ontario Court of Appeal rules tenant is responsible for snow removal in slip and fall case.
That's
So
right.
somebody um in a recent personal injury case, the Ontario Court of Appeal, so they had to go to the Court of Appeal
Yeah,
because they obviously lost,
yep.
has ruled that the appellants are responsible for snow removal under their lease agreement with the Ottawa Community Housing Corporation after a slip and fall incident.
That,
So they denied liability for Daniel Creet's injuries after he slipped and fell on ice at his rented townhouse, citing a lease provision assigning snow removal duties to the tenants.
yep.
Corporation also counterclaimed for contribution and indemnity, arguing that Daniel's mother, Marguerite Creek, was responsible for snow clearing as a signatory to the lease.
What do you mean by she was responsible?
She signed, she was a signatory. So she signed, you know, when you rent to a guy and
Right,
his credit isn't good, so his
right.
mom goes on.
Yep, yep.
So she's just as responsible because she
Okay,
signed.
I see. Okay, thank.
Okay.
Yep.
Um, Marguerite filed a motion for summary judgment to dismiss the counterclaim while the Housing Corporation sought various forms of relief, including the dismissal of the Creed's action. The motion judge found that the lease's snow removal provision was consistent with the Residential Tenancy Act and held that the provision required the Creeds to handle the winter maintenance of the area where the accident occurred.
Mm, important, right? And you know,
Hold
one
on. On
thing.
appeal, Marguerite argued that the snow removal provision was void under S.41 of the RTA, making the landlord responsible. The respondent contended that the motion judge's order was interlocutory and not appealable, but alternatively defended the judge's interpretation of the snow removal position or provision and its consistency with the RTA. So it says the motion interpreted the RTA requires landlords to maintain a property in good repair and comply with health and safety standards, not extending to snow and ice removal.
Yeah.
Instead, the judge applied S.33 of the RTA, which assigns tenants the duty of maintaining orderly cleanliness, including snow removal for areas they exclusively used. So
Wow.
the court ultimately dismissed the appeal, affirming the motion judge's interpretation that the Creeks were responsible for snow removal in areas solely used by them, such as the front steps of their townhouse.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the way, and when I had my properties, I always put in there that they're responsible. Lawn maintenance, snow removal, yeah, hey Mark, we bought 10 bags of salt. Do you mind helping out with that? Yeah, no problem. Or, hey, Mark, we bought some grass seed. Yeah, no problem. Right? Just to help support it, but it all fell on them. Right? And you look at the line.
I always provided a shovel,
Yeah,
salt,
yeah,
and they'd message me down, we're out of salt. I'd go get more salt and a lawnmower.
yeah, yep, yep, absolutely. Right. It's important. But the bigger piece too is the liability, right? So, you know what I mean? When you got to make sure that you have enough liability on that rental property, right? That's the part that scares me about instances like this, a slip and fall or a hazard or, the smoke detectors were non-functioning. We let the landlord know 5 times. We have these dates. Now we had a small, anything can happen, right? So I think people really need to make sure that they're well insured. And if
Okay,
there is,
so listen, Mark, this is two things you should always put in a lease, okay? One, that the tenant maintains the property.
Mhm.
So whether it be grass removal or snow removal, icing, salting, whatever. And the second thing is that the tenant must keep smoke detectors in good working order. And that if there's an issue and the smoke detector is no good, for the landlord to be notified ASAP. Do you know how many rental properties I went in when I've been showing houses that they're ripped out of the ceiling
it's unplugged, no batteries. I see it all the time.
all
Yeah.
the time? And you
But
want to know something? You have no goddamn insurance.
right.
If they take it out and there's no working smoke detector,
Mhm.
we're liable as a landlord.
Correct. But that's why, yes, I believe in putting something like that in the lease, but I just wouldn't make it bulletproof. I would still be inspecting those 3 or 4 times throughout the year, right?
Well,
To make sure.
you do,
Right.
but I've had that my own kid did it. I go
Yeah,
there, I'm like, Kyle, where's the smoke detector?
yeah. It's
Oh, it's
unbelievable.
beeping. I took it down. Well, get a freaking smoke detector back
Yeah,
up there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
People do it all the time, Mark.
I know, I see it all the time too. And and now most of these smoke detectors they're built-in carbon monoxide detectors, right? Like, and even with the new building codes, like in my condo, they got all flashing lights on them all now. Like they're pretty heavy duty.
They all have to be smoke and strobe, and they have to be the
Right.
building code now. They all have to be in every bedroom too.
Every room, every room. I have like 3 or 4 of them.
You know what though? Those new ones, they have a lot of defects. There's a lot of them you wait. A lot of them go off and start beeping all the time.
Yeah, I've
I,
had that.
well, they're manufactured defects and you get a new one. My client Brenda just got a brand new one that it
Yeah,
was 2 months old. I had
yeah.
it at the Basca. They're supposed to last 10 years and
Mhm.
they all started going off within 8 months.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because when a brown bear, same thing, it was going off, and I'm going, this is probably 10, 11 o'clock at night. Stop, go on, off. I'm going, you know what? I'm a little nervous about going to bed if it's carbon monoxide. I called the fire department. I said, I don't know if this is an emergency, but my detector's going off and I'm a little concerned. There's gas. They were so great. They came
They are.
over, boom, and said, hey, no problem. Nope, tested it all great. And I did unplug the smoke tech. That night I went over to Home Depot and I got another one for that evening. Oh, it was 10 o'clock at night, but whatever. Just but there's a thing you don't know, right? Like tested for gas, nothing. Great,
Well,
thanks.
Brenda's wasn't even 6 months old, and she called the manufacturer and they asked for the serial number, and they said, "Oh yeah, those were defective," and they sent her a brand new one.
Yeah, it's good.
They're supposed to last 10 years.
Yeah, I know. Check them. So for people that have these invest properties, definitely book some times to go check them because you're going to see what we see. And I don't think that landlords do enough inspections, right? Get the rent every month, never need to go. How many times I've heard that? I've been here 5 years. You haven't been to your investment property in 5 years? What's it look like? I don't know. I think you should go.
No, I
Right?
know.
These are all the deficiencies that can happen, right? Like safety issues like that. And how would that You know, if the tables were turning and a fire happened and these were unplugged, where's the liability? Ooh, I don't know. That's scary. I know I would want to be in those shoes, right? Is it a tenant's responsibility? I don't think it is. I think it's landlord's responsibility. It's her responsibility. So I'd be really scared of the liability piece with that one. And secondly, make sure you have enough insurance. You know, how many times there's there was a guy in North Bay, he's a bozo, had a tire shop, his dad had it, and he got he took off the insurance on the building. This
Oh
is
my
commercial
God.
on a busy tire place. Guess what happened?
Fire.
Fire. Guess what went up in smoke? Building and tires. Guess what he got when he was done? Big
Fine.
fat zero. Well, zero. No insurance. He had no insurance on the building.
Yeah.
So imagine had to claim bankruptcy, all the inventory gone, no insurance, you know, suppliers got to be paid. Well, there's no income coming in. What a mess. Like that's just 101. So yeah,
And make
that's
sure you put it in the lease that the tenant is responsible, because
it's not
if,
going to stand up. It's not
no,
going to stand.
Mark, if they did not, yes, it did.
I
That article says right in it, because it was in the lease that they
maybe
had to maintain it. That's the only reason why the judge upheld it. If they
yeah.
didn't have it, it goes to,
Okay, I agree for a slip and fall, but let's just say, okay, one child lost their life in a fire. That's a different verdict. It ain't gonna fucking come out going, yeah, well, it was in the lease that they had responsibility for smoke test. Would I say put in? Yeah, I would say put it in, but I wouldn't make that bulletproof. I would be documenting every time I went. Check the smoke detector on September 10th, 2024, or whatever.
yeah.
I'd be documenting everything to have on each property that I own. Because you don't know. Like, hey, we checked them. You got to show consistently that, hey, I would be doing that in a heartbeat.
Well, when you do the furnace, your furnace service, those things can be done. Because the furnace should be serviced regularly too.
Yeah, and filters every couple of months. Like that this is all preventive maintenance and just, providing a
Well, it
safe.
gives you a chance to go in and a reason to go in, because sometimes when you try to go, they don't let you in.
I know. No.
Like
No.
you try to get in, good goddamn luck. Oh, you show up and they're not there. My client just had that this week.
Yeah.
They were
Well,
notified in writing, they were given this, they were given that. She goes there, they're not there. Oh, how convenient.
documented, right?
Yep.
Just because you have to
But
document everything.
I don't think it would matter if there was a fire, the insurance company wants a way out.
Well, that they do possibly, but I know I would just be scared of the liability piece. I would be. I would want to make sure my I's and T's are crossed, and I don't think there's too many landlords doing that,
No.
seeing their properties. Okay, well, I think that's a wrap. I think we've talked that to death. That was good.
Yeah.
Good advice, and wants
The
any more.
like, the share, and drop us a comment.
Yeah, and any information on the Barrie Simcoe County real estate market, give myself and Ann a call. Have a good weekend. See you.
You too. See ya.